Welcome, everyone. We're going to get started shortly. And in the meantime, please share in the chat box who you are, where you're from, and what you're most excited about for today's call. We'll be getting started shortly. I know we've got more folks coming. I'm a and enhancing journaling with new text techniques. That's great. Thank you for sharing that, Anne. All right, so it's 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock, I should say, and we're going to go ahead and get started. So, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. Whether this is your first time doing anything with me, or if you've done things with me in the past, thank you so much for showing up, for being here. I typically like to begin with ritual, and I like to draw in as many senses as we possibly can. So if you happen to have any incense or sage, I do recommend joining with me. I'm gonna have us light a little bit of sage here. I always like to begin this way. I like to get my senses, smell, sight, sound in as much as possible. So if you are able to light some incense or some sage and just begin to settle into this moment right here. If you are just joining us, welcome, welcome. Please share in the chat box who you are, where you're from, and what you're most excited about for today. Okay, so just take a moment to settle into the here and the now and being present with yourself. So just take a moment to settle in, close your eyes,
Hauser, no way.
take a big deep breath in and let it out nice and slow. Another big deep breath in and let it out. All right, just try that again. Another big deep breath in and let it out. Allow yourself to settle into this space right here, right now, and tune into your senses. Noticing the temperature and texture of air on your skin, becoming aware of any taste that's present in your mouth, noticing the smells that are coming to you, becoming aware of what you see in your mind's eye, lights, colors, shapes, noticing all of the sounds around you, the sounds inside of the space you're in, and the sounds outside of the space you're in. Acknowledge it all and let it be. And then bring your hands to your heart center and just take a moment to set your intention for our time together today. Holding that intention in your mind's eye. And then when you're ready, let it go, let it be. And as you feel ready, you can open your eyes and come back to this place from wherever it is that you might have just been. And if you're just joining us, please do share in the chat box who you are, where you're from, and what you are most excited to get out of today's call. And I'm just so excited to be here with all of you today. I love to just take a moment and just acknowledge that it is Monday and Mondays can be so challenging. So thank you for taking some time to come in and join us. You're welcome to be on camera so I can see your beautiful face and see who's here with us. And Bray, thank you for being on camera. It's so nice to see your face. And do share in the chat box who you are, where you are from, and what you hope to get out of today's call. I made a ton of notes that I'm going to be looking down to reference. I don't love to script things, but I do want to share with you. I've got a lot I want to share today. So I've just got this down here. I want to let you know that my hope for you today is that by the end of today's call, that you'll know kind of where you are in your personal evolution and what path you may want to take going forward. And I'll start just by sharing you a little bit about me and my story. I'm going to keep it simple since I think if you've been, a part of my world for a little while, you know how to get more information if you feel like you need more. But before this year in particular, I was someone who prided myself on doing all of the things, teaching, coaching, painting, building, supporting, being a connector, helping other people show up, helping other people connect to themselves and to each other and community. For the past decade at least, I have worked with hundreds of women in coaching, particularly. Um, and coaching retreats, year-long programs, and I have helped women leave toxic jobs, start creative businesses, finish books, and rediscover their own voices, and sometimes make peace with the parts of themselves that they thought maybe were too much or had been told were too much. And even with all of that experience, even after writing a book about resilience and building a life around personal development, this has been one of those years that has kind of stopped me in my tracks. And I had to pause this year quite a bit. Because here's the truth that no matter how far you have come in this personal development work, uh, there are times when we all need a sacred pause, and it doesn't mean you haven't done the sacred pause before, and it doesn't mean you won't have to do the sacred pause again. So I just want to start from that place. There's always time to reconnect and to pause. And I'm in one of those places myself, but I believe in living out loud and doing this work out loud. And this is a moment for me to walk myself home again. And maybe you're at a time in your life where you are looking to walk yourself home again as well. So I know that this process works because I don't just teach it, but because I am committed to living it. I've lived it many times in the past, and I am living it and going through it again myself right now. So I this year had a packed calendar, a full client load, big ideas, and from the outside, it probably looked like I was doing everything right, but I had a quiet knowing, a whispering, and it said, "Slow down, slow down. You are living too fast." But I ignored it, and even if, especially if you happen to have the title of life coach in your name, as I do, sometimes you think that the rules don't apply to you, right? So you might be hearing that whispering of slow down. Um, but I wasn't following my own advice. So I thought, maybe just this one time, it's okay if I ignore that whispering. And here's a hint. If you are hearing a whispering, it's really not okay to ignore it. You need to listen to it. I told myself I was strong, I can handle all of this. Just a few more weeks, and a few more weeks always turns into a few more months. You know how that goes. But it wasn't okay, right? Life got loud, and it got loud for me in the form of a diagnosis, a lumpectomy. And that is the type of news that just kind of brings you to your knees and it changes everything. And for me, it has changed absolutely everything in my life. So if you don't choose to listen and slow down, life forces you to choose to slow down. And when that happens, it's no longer on your terms, it's on the universe's terms. So, for the first time in a long time this year, I truly stopped. Earlier this year, I got quiet. I got really quiet. I chose a 17-day extended water fast as my first form of healing on my cancer journey. And if that sounds radical, um, it's because in our society, a pause, sacred healing sounds more radical than lumpectomy or surgery or chemo or radiation. Um, but it actually wasn't radical in the way you think it was. Starting that fast for me was truly a sacred pause. It was a radical return to my journaling practice. It was a radical returning to quiet. And that was really important to me because that's what I teach. And I believe in practicing what you preach and doing things from a place of alignment and authenticity. So for me, pausing with that water fast was a way to reset my nervous system so that I could move into the more traditional healing or Western healing with a really, really grounded sense of self, a really grounded nervous system. And the water fast helped me get back to the daily journaling, the daily meditation, and I did do some yoga as well, but that happened a little bit after the water fast. So that fast gave me time and space to be present with myself. And you start to learn and hear things. There's a bell. You can't unring the bell once you hear it, once you know what you need to do. So, you know, I've returned to that daily journaling. I'm taking meditation much more seriously right now, and I make space for slow and spaciousness. And even within my business these days, I'm not getting back to things right like that. I don't have Facebook on my phone. I don't have notifications popping up. I'm practicing that radical slowness, that radical listening because that's where we can hear what's most important to ourselves. That's where we can hear our deepest knowing. So, this journey isn't just about illness or recovery, it's about remembering and remembering what it feels like to live in rhythm with yourself, not with society, not with work, not with your partner or your family, although sometimes it's nice to be in harmony with those things too. But this is a journey about coming back to self, coming back to authenticity, coming back to what's most important to you, your core values, your alignment. And that is not going to be the same thing for everyone. So that's about reawakening wisdom. And so when all of this happened, I stopped my work for a long time and I spent a lot of time thinking about as I come back to work, come back to what's important. What are the things that need to go and what are the things that need to stay? And a lot went. I threw a lot out, But what was most important to me was Reawakening Wisdom. And Reawakening Wisdom was a program that I ran every day, Monday through Friday, for 4 years during the pandemic. Women from all over the world, actually, we came together and we did our morning pages. We did our journaling together. So we would start the way we started today with a little grounding, some sage, some incense, and then I would give a writing prompt and we would write. Everybody would have their cameras off for 25 minutes. We were on Zoom. You'd have your cameras off, you'd write for 25 minutes, and then we'd come back together and we could share what came up. Now, we didn't necessarily read what we'd written, but we'd share what came up for us. And it was this sacred container. It was a space where you could share what came up for you without someone giving you advice. And let me tell you, that is profound. If you've ever had a container where someone was a witness for you, you already know how profound that experience is. So when I started to think about what I wanted in my life this year, I knew I wanted to bring back raw. I wanted to share that experience with other people. I wanted other people to be able to experience stillness, aligning with their own inner wisdom through the art and practice of journaling, of morning pages. But I also knew that the way I had done raw before wasn't going to work this time. So I decided that I'd be offering 100 days, Monday through Friday, where we would come together and meet for an hour and a half. You could make it or not make it. They are going to be recorded and we're going to journal together. I'm going to read an essay, give a longer prompt. You're going to have 35-ish minutes for journaling instead of 25, and then we'll have that longer time to talk about what came up. And I'm bringing in other facilitators as well. So 1 to 2 times a week, there'll be other facilitators to help keep it interesting, to help spark that creativity. That's what we're going to be doing. And these sessions this week are in celebration of me opening up Raw again for others. But in order to do that, I thought it was important for us to identify where we are. Is this something that's right for you? These calls are going to help you figure that out. Um, so that's what we're talking about today in some ways, helping you name where you are on your path and journey and what the next stretch of the path might look like for you. And I wouldn't wish my diagnosis on anyone, but I've gained already a tremendous amount of clarity, just a tremendous amount of clarity. It has been a teacher. And that slowing down, that clarity, that is something I wish for other people as well. I don't want other people to have a diagnosis to get it, but this has been life-changing and transformative. And I do feel like the cancer has come as a teacher for me. So hopefully you don't have to wait for life to knock you flat with a diagnosis like this. But if you're hearing a whisper, keep listening. That whisper is telling you something. You can choose to listen today and see, you know, it doesn't have, like I said, it doesn't have to be a diagnosis. Maybe you have been ignoring one of your core values. Maybe you have been staying in a relationship that feels a lot like sandpaper when it should be feeling smooth. Maybe something isn't in alignment. Maybe a friendship's not right. Maybe you are not facing a fear. Maybe you aren't going after a dream. Getting quiet, getting clarity, that's what this is all about. So, okay, now it's time to talk about the Wise Woman's Quantum Leap, which, as I said, what we were going to be also talking about today. And the Wise Woman's Quantum Leap is a way for you to see where you are on your path. And it's important before I share this with you, it is not a straight line. I've got a straight line kind of through the 6 stages, But the Wise Woman's Quantum Leap is not at all it's not a straight path. It's not a linear process. And one stage is not better than the other. So it's not like a hierarchy. It's not like stage one is the bottom of the barrel and stage six is the ultimate. This is one of those things where, sometimes we feel like we've gotten to stage six only a month later to go back to stage one again, or a year from then, go back to stage one, or you go to stage two and you leap to stage six. So this is just a way for you to put words to where you might feel like you are on your particular path right now. And I think it's important to be able to identify some things, some places, stages where you think you are, because when you know where you are, then you can figure out where you want to go or where you want to be. And there's pros and cons to all of these different stages. So I have a little slide deck here that I am going to share with you. Can you all see those slides? You can give me the thank you. Okay, I appreciate the thumbs up. Okay. Now, I said it's not a straight line. It is not a straight line, these paths. They are just different places where you might be. Let's talk about stage one. Stage one is the awakening. This is where you might be hearing whispers, as I shared with you. It is an exciting place. This means we are embracing the awakening. If we're like, yeah, I think I'm there. You are beginning a transformative journey if you're in the awakening place. And you recognize that there's a need for change and are taking courageous first steps. So you might recognize yourself in this stage if you're feeling burnt out or unfulfilled. If you feel that whisper or hear the whispering of like, yeah, I need to change. I'm seeking help for change. And seeking help can even just be going to your own journal, writing things out, exploring feelings and thoughts and dreams. But this might also be where there's like a lack of clarity. You might feel really foggy about what steps are. You might have no idea what you want or where you want to go. And you might not be able to articulate any dreams for the future. So, some things people in this stage say, or you might hear people saying, if you're saying something like, "Oh my gosh, I'm feeling so exhausted and disconnected from myself," or that feeling of like I've achieved so much and I'm still not happy, or I don't know what I want anymore, or what I wanted, I got it and it's not what I thought it would be. If you have a feeling like you need to reconnect to your intuition, or if you're like opening up to wanting to explore your creativity. So this in this stage, there can be self-doubt and resistance to change. If you are resisting the change, you might be in that awakening place. If you're feeling overwhelmed at the idea of starting something new, or if you are feeling very reluctant to let go of old habits, that all can mean awakening. And you can see the recommending reading that I have here, The Artist's Way. Of course, I think that should be required reading for everyone. Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert is also a good one for this stage. And The Gifts of Imperfection by Brene Brown. Just great, great stuff. Um, so that is the awakening stage. Now, the exploration stage is it is where you're discovering new creative habits and outlets. You're integrating your self-care routines while sparking joy and curiosity in your life. And you might be pairing it with coaching or new programs, and you might be feeling a renewed sense of purpose and direction in stage 2. So there's some milestones of people in this area that they might be experiencing. So beginning to experiment with creative practices, starting to practice regular self-care like journaling, or meditation, or even maybe exercising more, or taking classes, engaging in goal setting, and starting to get hopeful about your path forward. That's another good milestone. So you might be in the exploration stage if you are starting to enjoy your journaling, if you're feeling more connected to yourself, and if you're getting curious about starting new things, and if self-care is becoming a priority, not the back burner thing, but something that you put on the calendar and you stick to, you might get glimmers of what you want to see in this area. Now, things to watch out for in the exploration stage, like the fear of failure, right? So, I had this recently with, I'm got some exploration happening in my art and my creativity. And one thing for me that has recently come up was the fear of learning something new to take my practice to the next place. So I was stretching canvases for the first time, and I was definitely afraid of failing at that for a lot of reasons, right? Or comparing myself to other artists. Those are like, this is an awakening and exploration. This is like awakening and exploration right here. And getting impatient with that process, wanting it to go faster than it might be actually taking. Some recommended reading in this would be my book, Little Failures, Radical Acceptance by Tara Brach, if you like the more meditation type, and of course, Untamed by Glennon Doyle, if you haven't done that one yet. Okay, so that's stage 2. Stage 3 is alignment. And this is the part this is one of my favorite stages to be in because it feels like things are starting to come together. Like it feels like that you're on the train, it is moving, you've got clarity, you know your values, you know what you're supposed to be doing, and you are taking action around what truly matters to you. So the milestones here are you've identified your core values and you can align your actions with them. You're reconnecting with your spiritual practices. You're setting clear, achievable goals for your future. And you're starting to recognize the limiting beliefs that you might be bumping up against. Of course, there's limiting beliefs always, but you might be really like starting to bump up against them in this phase. Things people say in the alignment stage, like you're starting to see what truly matters to you. Your values are becoming more clear. You're more grounded in your spiritual practice. You have a vision for your future and you feel aligned with who you are, and you might hear your intuition louder than you have in a long time. Things to watch out for in this one, slipping back into old habits, right? So we get that wake up. For me, I think about recently. I got my wake up call with the diagnosis and I started to make radical life changes. And I did that well for about 60 days. And then you're like, do I really need to do this? And you might start skipping days. And you haven't even gotten far enough to see the really big transformation that you want. So it's easy to slip back into those old patterns, and you need to really learn, you need to stick with it and learn to trust yourself that those new habits are going to stick. Other things to watch out for here, external pressures to conform, doubts about spiritual practices or personal practices that you're doing. And this is really helpful, honestly, for me to share with all of you because I'm in parts of this myself, making big changes and then doubting those changes and just needing to remind myself to stay the course, that Big changes take small daily baby steps. Recommended reading here, The Four Agreements, Playing Big by Tara Brock, or excuse me, Tara Moore, and The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. That book, those are all great books. The Big Leap was wildly eye-opening for me, and it might be for you too. And so I'm wondering if anybody, if you're starting to see pieces of yourself in any of these stages, and I can see myself in all three of these right now, that's normal. So please drop it in the ch chat box. If something's resonating with you, or if you're starting to see yourself in anything here, drop it in the chat box. Do share that with us here. I'd be curious what's resonating. Stage four, I'm calling this the soul retrieval. This is like that monumental stage because you're in the phase of active pursuit where you are confidently chasing your goals, integrating creativity and spirituality into your daily life. You're starting to feel into your wholeness. We are all whole as we are, no matter what we have going on, and you're feeling into that. It is a whole self integration that is taking place and leading to significant personal and professional progress. So, the milestones you might see in this stage, you might be you're going to be actively pursuing goals with confidence. You are regularly engaging in your self-care, your creative, your spiritual practices, your alignment practices. You feel like balanced in your divine masculine and your divine feminine, and you are trusting your intuition. So, the things in this stage to watch out for, the fear of the unknown. I recently heard something that along the lines of our nervous systems actually are the way our, if wherever your nervous system is right now, it cannot actually fathom or hold space for who you could become 6 months from now. So the more we get our nervous system into a good, healthy place, calmed down, the more able we're able to make these big leaps and transformations. So we have to learn to become comfortable with the fear of the unknown as these changes are occurring. We want to become aware of where we might be getting overly critical of our progress, or if we're feeling pressure to achieve any type of perfection because that's unrealistic. There's no such thing as that. Things that if you feel like you might be in this area, you might want to read The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho, Women Who Run with the Wolves by Clarissa Pinkola Estes, or The Holy Wild by Daniel Dolsky. So those are just a few books if you feel like you're in this stage you might want to explore. Now, stage five is what I call flourishing. And this can be a pinnacle moment, right? But just remember that if you feel like you're in that flourishing stage, we can't stay at the pinnacle, right? Like you have to come down the mountain at some point, and that's okay. But you've experienced some significant milestones and you maintain a consistent balance in self-care, creativity, spirituality. And this stage can bring deep fulfillment, confidence, and a strong connection to your most authentic self. You're probably, if you're in this stage, you might not only be inspiring yourself, but you're inspiring other people with the way you are living. Some things to watch out for in this particular phase at that pinnacle place, complacency, like just wanting to put the brakes on the growth. External influence is disrupting our balance, or just forgetting that the journey and the process is important and starting to focus on outcomes. We don't want to do that here. So with this stage, some things to think about would be reading would be High Performance Habits by Brendon Burchard, If Women Rose Rooted by Sharon Blackie, and Mary Magdalene Revealed by Megan Watterson. These are great books for this particular stage. Now, the sixth stage would be quantum expression. And like I said, one stage is not better than the other, and we never stay in just one of these places. I find that we often circle different stages throughout our life, different seasons of our lives within a year. You could go through all six of these, all just to start back at number one. But the sixth stage is quantum expression, and it is just the transformation where you feel like you've transformed on your journey and you feel like you have achieved what you want to achieve, and you feel like you are the embodiment of what is important to you. So, um, you're feeling like you are walking in the world worthy. And I want for all of us to feel that way all the time, but I know that can sometimes be hard for some of us. But things feel meaningful to you. You feel purposeful. You feel like what you do has meaning and purpose, and you don't really doubt your impact. So, things to watch out for in this particular stage of the journey, overextending yourself, that burnout can happen here, neglecting personal growth and self-care, and becoming overly focused with achievement. Great books, if you feel like you might be in this stage, would be The Wisdom of No Escape and The Path of Loving Kindness by Pema Chodron, The Book of Longings by Sumunk Kidd, and Broken Open by Elizabeth Lesser. So these are great books for that particular area. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing now. I want to see. I know some folks have put some things in the chat box, and I want to take a look at that. Amanda, exploration stage. Yeah. Please, if you felt like you saw those stages, yourself in any of those stages, please share in the chat box what you feel like resonated most to you and why. Um, I can't emphasize enough that there's no wrong place to be. One stage is not better than the other. Every stage is sacred. And I would love for you to just take a moment and close your eyes and kind of pause and feel into everything I just said and think about what resonated with you, what didn't resonate with you, and just feel where you are if you can. And maybe as you've been hearing everything that I've been talking about, you're thinking, something along the lines of, well, I'm not far enough along yet, or I don't belong in something called reawakening wisdom. And let me just say that if you've ever felt like you're in between versions of yourself, then you belong. You belong here in the yoke and abundance world, but you belong here where you are. And it is not ever about arriving at any one place because we are always constantly evolving and seeking. It's about remembering and giving yourself permission to begin. I'm curious how many of you, did any of you take part? Please drop in the chat box and let me know if you took part in the journaling week last week. And if that woke anything up, or if you were getting any whispers in that. Bobby, you said that you were feeling stuck in your creative career. I know that feeling, and I'm so glad you're here. And Anne, you're in the flourishing. That's awesome. Oh, you had 1,000 visitors in your booth. That is so awesome. Yeah, and then the letdown after, I know that feeling. Yeah, it's so hard where you're like, I did this thing and now there's nothing. Or you maybe don't have anything to look forward to, or, and it could be an or an and of like the burnout that comes afterwards, where you're like, it took so much work to put something on where you had that many people looking at you for that long. And I don't know if you're an introvert or not, but there could be that part of it where you're like, now you're like, my bank is empty. Yeah. Yeah, I totally get it. Um, oh, and Anne, you said this is clarifying. I'm so glad to hear that. A finger in stage three. Yes. Yeah. Like we can be in so many different, like we can be in a few of these stages at one time, but I think just being able to have some words or some language around where you feel like you are can be really helpful. Because I don't think most women are taught to trust themselves. I think it's changing, but I think often we're taught to question ourselves. We're not taught to listen to our intuition or give ourselves permission to want more or want something different. But I want you to know that in the work that I do, especially with what's coming up with reawakening wisdom, with raw, what I call raw, you don't need to be fixed. That is not what this is about. We are not broken. We sometimes do need to remember who we are, what we value, and what is truly important to us. And we don't have to do it alone. In fact, transformation is amplified in community when we can talk about what we're experiencing or feeling or thinking. And real change isn't just about big leaps. It's often about consistency, about courage to tell the truth and to show up for ourselves. And that's what this work is really about. So we live in a culture that asks us to be everything and do everything, and then we burn out, right? We blame ourselves when things aren't going right. And so one of the first things that might come up with work like this is, oh my gosh, I don't think I have the time to do this work. Like from the work of just sitting down to journal or maybe even joining something like Reawakening Wisdom, you might be wondering, like, well, what if I fall off that wagon? But Raw, what I'm going to be doing 100 days of Raw, it was created with that specifically in mind. And it's not another thing to hustle through, it's a rhythm. It is a sanctuary for us to find a soft landing and come home to ourselves. And it's certainly not about perfectionism or streaks. I don't love streaks. I do like streak freezes though, if you know me. I believe in a streak freeze because, you know, we can't do everything every single day and be whole human beings, right? So this is about showing up in the messy middle of where you might be and saying, I'm here, I'm ready to try something new, I'm ready to invest in myself. So when you show up, when you do something consistently, just even for 5 or 10 minutes a day, it does build confidence in yourself. And it helps us realize that you have the ability to reclaim your energy, to reclaim your power, and that helps you realize that you have so much agency in where you are on your journey and that you can make changes if you want to make changes. So, this week, what I'm doing this week, these calls this week are all about like celebrating, as I said, the upcoming opening of reawakening wisdom, of opening raw to all of you. And it's not just another program, it is really a container for you to make a leap if you want to make a leap, to begin new habits of journaling consistently, having space to talk about what comes up for you in your journaling without someone trying to fix you. None of us need to be fixed. We are whole and healthy as we are. And there's always room for exploration. Growth is a personal core value of mine. And so this container was created for us to explore our personal growth together. So maybe you've identified that you're in a stage or between stages or have yourself in a, like, could see yourself in a few of the different stages. Um, And if that's the case, wherever you are, I want you to know that 100 Days of Raw is about giving you a rhythm and a path, a sacred structure to hold you while you cross thresholds of these stages. And most of us try to leap alone, and that's lonely. I don't want to make those leaps alone. I don't want to do the hard things alone. I will tell you that. We are better together. And big leaps are not meant to happen in isolation. It's meant to happen in community with prompts, with presence, with guidance to return to our power, to ourselves again and again and again. So when you commit to something like raw, when you say, yes, I'll show up for myself for 100 days, you stop waiting for life to give you permission because you're giving yourself permission. You start reclaiming your own time, your own voice, your intuition, your creative fire. And it's like planting a garden and showing up to water it, not because it needs to be some perfect streak that we never freeze, right? But because it's yours, because it matters, and you're committed to that daily watering so it can grow, right? I'm gonna give you some journaling prompts that you can do after today's call, and I'm gonna say them out loud, and then I'm gonna write them down, and I'm gonna drop them in the chat box as well, so you can copy and paste them. But here are just a few things for you to think about. So, you know, here are your prompts. So, prompt number one. What stage of the wise woman's quantum leap are you in right now? Prompt number two. What's one thing that I'm craving that I haven't said out loud or I haven't admitted to myself? And then prompt number three is what becomes possible for me if I keep going? If I keep doing this work. So I'm going to quickly put those in the chat box so that you can copy and paste them if you need to. Sometimes the scariest thing we can do is be honest with ourselves about what we want. So we can be used to performing and pleasing, fawning, and we forget what longing feels like, or what desire feels like, or what our wants are. And as you answer these questions, I want you to think about that. And I want you to remember that you can't answer these prompts wrong. And you can't be too much here in this space. You are definitely enough. And being more than enough is encouraged. We are not broken. We are ready for more truth. And I always tell my yoga students, wherever you are is exactly where you need to be. Whatever comes up out of you with these prompts, wherever you are is exactly where you need to be. So once you answer these prompts, whether you're doing it now, starting to answer these now, although I can never journal when someone else is talking, but some people are good at that. So I want to encourage you to do it afterwards. But If it stirs something in you, if you feel yourself begin to soften or tear up or feel a jolt of recognition around one of these, that is your inner wisdom speaking to you. And I want you to listen to that. And I want you to wonder a little bit what it would feel like to say yes to 100 days of raw. What might shift in your work, in your relationships, in your creative life, if you give yourself the permission to be seen, to be held, and to be witnessed for 100 days. Because that's what raw will offer. Not doing more, not pushing, but a season of sacred devotion to the wisest version of yourself, to what's waiting inside of you, what's been waiting inside of you. So, if you have any reflections or thoughts that you want to share right now, please don't hesitate to drop them in the chat box. And if you have any questions, you're welcome to drop them in the chat box as well. So, if anything's coming up for you that you'd like me to answer, you can drop that in the chat box as well. I want to let you know what you can expect this week. So it's this same link for Wednesday and Friday. So on Wednesday at noon, there will be alumni from Raw in the past, and they're going to share what Raw did for them, what they loved about it, where they were before Raw, and where they have gone since taking part in that experience. And these are some amazing powerhouse women. I've got some authors, some incredible moms, some um, some women who have not only published books but have started creative businesses who are going to be joining us and talking about what Raw helped make possible for them and what type of transformation it helped them have. So it's going to be an incredible time, and you'll be able to ask questions as well. So please come. You're not going to want to miss that live because it's an opportunity to really get your questions answered about that and have an experience with that group. So please do join us on Wednesday. That's at noon. And then on Friday at noon, it's a deep dive. So, a deep dive into what Raw has to offer, what the structure looks like, and what you can expect. And I'll answer any of your questions about that particular program as well. And I'll have a surprise that day too that you won't want to miss. So, in the meantime, tomorrow I'll be sending an email with the replay from today as well as the journaling prompts from today. I'm also going to send the workbook. I have a workbook around the Wise Woman's Quantum Leap, and I'll send that as well. It's got a quiz to help you identify where you are and what stage you're in of your Wise Woman's Quantum Leap. And then Wednesday, we'll have our live panel discussion with past Raw alumni. And then on Friday, it'll be a deep dive and a Q&A about the program, the Raw program. And so look out for the email with today's replay and workbook. Any questions before we close? You guys have been amazing. Thank you for being here, for jumping on. It's so nice to be with all of you. And if anything comes up after this session, let me know. And I see the question about how much Raw costs. I'll be talking about that more on Friday. So do come on Friday for that. Thank you all for being here. And don't hesitate to reach out if more questions come up before I send that email out tomorrow. But thank you for being here. Have a wonderful day. Thank you. Bye, guys, gals.